Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Talking Snooker with Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf. Once again, talking about the game we all love.
We are indeed, yes. The summer is rolling on by pretty fast, aren't we? We've had plenty more Championship League action, plenty more to talk about. But first things first, another very special guest already this season.
We're delivering the goods, aren't we? I mean, saying it about ourselves is a bit much, but that's what we do sometimes, isn't it, Phil? And you're right. We are very happy to say that we have a special guest for this new episode of the podcast. It's a player who turned professional in 2011, and he's enjoyed some terrific tournament runs over the years, including to the quarterfinals of the China Open in 2019, and then the quarterfinals of the UK Championship in 2022. He went even better than that at last year's German Masters, where he reached the semi-finals at the Tempodrome. Sadly, his career was put on hold soon after when he had neck surgery, and there were times recently when he feared he might never play at the top level again. But the great news is he's back, and he's had a very encouraging start to this 2025-26 season. We are delighted to have Sam Craigie with us on Talking Snooker. Sam, it's great to see you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. It's great to be here. Like I said, I've listened to a couple of episodes and I've been looking forward to it. I've had a good morning and I've just been looking forward to getting on.
Oh, that's absolutely lovely. Well, it's a lovely coup for us. We're very grateful that you joined us. And let's start, quite rightly on a positive note. You've had this cracking start for the season. You won your British Open qualifier and you topped your Championship League groups. You're still going strong in that tournament in Leicester. You must be greatly encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I lost my first game against Aaron. And funnily enough, I was traveling there with my manager and I listened to the episode that you had Aaron on the way when I was going to play him. Like I said, I didn't get the result, but hats off to Aaron. I mean, he didn't really give us a shot. Had his bang in trouble. And it's probably was something to do with working with Fergal. Um,
Yeah.
he played really well that day.
And
The Championship League, again, my performance wasn't great, but like I say, getting through was brilliant considering I felt like that. So once the performance comes out as well, then hopefully good times are ahead.
yeah, and this must be really pleasing considering I guess, the nerves and uncertainty that you came into the season with after what you've just been through.
Yes, it's hard to explain because it doesn't happen very often. And like, I only got me card confirmed like 2 weeks before my first game, so obviously I was a bit sort of wondering what was going on. Then once that got confirmed, I've been sort of putting in ridiculous hours trying to get ready. Um, and like I say, I'm putting more hours in than everyone else, and I can say that with confidence. So that gives us confidence in itself when I'm playing, although the performance hasn't been there just yet.
And we'll come to that now, the injury. But first, the Championship League. What's it like those days? There's a lot of sort of sitting around. It's hard to sort of get up and down for the matches, I guess.
Yeah, this time I was the bottom seed, so the timings were different. Normally I'm the second seed and you play one game, then two games later on. But this time, what was it? I think I played the two first and then the one later on. So it was a different sort of preparation for the last game because I knew if I won the last game 3-0, I was through. And unfortunately, sort of felt the bits at 2-0. Um, and then the final result between Jimmy and Mark sort of fell in my favour.
And yeah, of course, we've mentioned the injury now. You were missing from the tour for some time, and we didn't always know what was going on. Really, we heard rumours about this problem you were dealing with. So talk us through it from the start. Really, when did this neck problem start, and how did you go about fixing it?
When it started, it's hard to really think exactly when, but I mean, I had a good full season with it, and it just got gradually worse. And by the time I said to you previously, in Germany, I was in absolute bits. I was on the phone to the physio every single day. And my coach, Chris Henry, he was trying to massage me back before practice and stuff because I couldn't get down to the shot. And I was going in the office before every game saying I might need to withdraw. And he just goes, "I'll try your best and we'll see what happens." Then ended up in the semi-final, which, like I say, is just absolutely crazy considering how I felt.
Yeah, of course. And the pain just got worse and worse, didn't it? So in the end, it, surgery was absolute no-brainer, wasn't it? You just felt like you had to do something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I went to see the surgeon. I mean, originally I was seeing the GPs and getting all sorts of different opinions of what was wrong. Then I went to see a specialist about my shoulder because that's where a lot of the pain was. And straight away he looked at my scans and he says, "You need to go and see the upper limb specialist and get your neck looked at." Um, and then he was 100% right because I got a scan on my neck and that showed what was going on.
Mm. The problem was, I mean, it's great you had the surgery, very important, you needed it, but the problem was the aftermath then wasn't what you hoped, was it? Because you
Yeah.
felt sort of awful after that, and you were saying you couldn't get down on the shot. I mean, snooker was almost impossible for you, certainly not snooker at the highest level. So the problems for you sort of carried on even after.
Yeah, the surgeon told us I'd be okay in 2 weeks. And if I wasn't a snooker player, it was probably true. But it's just that position you have
Right.
to get into. It was just impossible. And I was on the phone to World Snooker sort of weekly, trying to update them if I could make it to the next tournament. But I'd sort of get my cue out in the house and try and go on the table. And I just couldn't get down. So, and I think once it got to Saudi, so obviously I didn't want to pull out of that, but I just had to. And once that happened, I was sort of knew it was going to be a long season and just sort of committed to it, having it off.
But I mean, you said, you know, to Phil in an interview, quite stark. You know, you really started fearing, didn't you? It's not dramatic when we hear it from you now. You started
Yeah.
thinking, am I going to be able to play snooker properly again at the top level?
Yeah, because after about 6 months, when I tried to do like some decent hours again, I was seeing like two different physios at the time, and I was trying like one of them were trying to tell us how I could stand to take the pressure off where the pain was. So I sort of completely changed my stance and stuff to try and like help it. But I was practicing doing that, and I just thought I'm not gonna improve playing like this because it felt so alien. So I had a bit more time off and hoped it healed a bit more. And like thankfully it did. So I'm sort of playing almost how I was, like technique wise. Still just a few little niggles at the minute, but hopefully they'll just fade away.
Well, that's brilliant to hear. And Phil, we're going to break the rules a bit. We normally would come to correspondence late, but I think this point's quite relevant now. Actually, he says, "Hi guys, my name is Gil Cordoba, and I'm a big fan of the game from Spain. I want to ask Sam Craigie about his injury. Please ask him about how he managed the time without playing from the mental side. Thanks for your work and for making snooker more enjoyable. Best regards, Gil." I think that's a good question. How did you?
Um, I mean, like I say, the first 6 months when I couldn't really do anything, that was tough. And I think one of the biggest things is that I do play a game on the laptop, and I usually play with my brother. So it's the time that we get to speak to each other because he lives in Chester. So
Ah.
it's quite an enjoyable night, when we do that. So that passes some time.
That must have been, I mean, just the hours that you're used to practicing, and obviously you're so used to going away to tournaments and stuff. It's an awful lot of time to. It might be quite nice at first, I suppose, just getting that amount of downtime, but it can play on your mind eventually, I suppose.
Yeah, the first couple of months was okay. Like once I committed to having the season off, like I just completely switched off from snooker. I didn't watch it. I didn't even think about it. No, I didn't look at results, anything. So it was nice for a couple of months, but then like you start thinking about it because you have to, you know what I mean? Because it's your job and it's like what helps pays the bills and stuff. So you need to try and do something about it.
Yeah. The way you speak about the injury, it reminded me a bit of like Anthony Hamilton's eye problems because you snooker guys, it's such a unique and specific thing you do. Like he
Yeah.
had that lens replacement surgery, which I think for anyone else went what would have gone well, but then you're playing under these lights and in these conditions, then it didn't work properly. And that sounds like yours. Like these medical professionals, they're right for the average person, but
Yeah.
you guys do such a weird thing in a weird position. It doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
The normal thing doesn't work properly.
Yeah, that's what the physios say. They say it's like the worst position you could like possibly be in, especially for like long periods of time. It just causes pain and discomfort. Like, there's loads of snooker players that have some sort of discomfort. Obviously some more serious than others.
And obviously, there's no good time for that for the needing surgery, but it must have been especially frustrating because you were starting to hit the form that you know that you can hit.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was at the time and probably couldn't have been much worse because I was just starting to climb the rankings. And when you first get on tour, you're looking to get in the 64, then you're looking at the 48, the 32. And I was just starting to actually do that. And the next day having a year off. It's just horrible, really.
But your game now, obviously, the hours you're practicing sounds it's just incredible that you even can do that after you've been through. But what sort of percentage back to what your best are you at the minute, do you think?
Like on the table or like physically.
Well, I meant on the table, but both is good.
On the table, I've honestly in practice, I feel better than ever. Um, physically, I'll just say 99% because I know there's something there that's still giving us a little bit of problems. But on the table, like I say, in practice, amazing. My first match back was a bit strange. The lights caught us out, the table caught us out. Because I thought my table in my club was like spot on. But it's just a bit slow and not as bouncy as the tournament tables. So it's taken us a while to get used to that again.
Do you feel, without being too sort of cheesy, once something's taken away from you, are you much more appreciative and enjoying it more than you were because it was ripped away for a few months?
Yeah, like I'm enjoying practice probably more than ever because
Mm.
obviously it has to be from the time off because it does get hard, especially when you're traveling non-stop. Then you have to do it in between all that. It is tough. So like recently, I've just been doing just the practice and not all the traveling in between. So it makes it easier as well when it's like that.
Well, we're absolutely delighted that the prognosis is so good right now, and you seem to be in that good place, which is brilliant. There's no reason why it can't carry on. Let's go back down memory lane if that's okay with you now, and talk, about what got you into the game. You've already mentioned your brother, that's Stephen. He's obviously was, himself was and is very good at the game. So I imagine
Yeah.
it was sort of linked up with him.
Yeah, absolutely. If he didn't play, I wouldn't play. It's quite as simple as that. Because I just copied him, like up until, well, basically until he gave up. Because like he was, in my opinion, he was unbelievable. Because we would go to Leicester, Prestatyn, um, like whatever, and he was just always like one of the best there. You know what I mean? And like growing up, like I had a good practice partner, and like.
Yeah.
I really ask for much more coming through. So I was just basically copying him. And the goal is to actually get him in my corner, sort of how Kyron and Judd do. That's the end goal. Obviously, just the financial side is it's tough to really make that happen.
Yeah, of course. So when you were sort of growing up and both obviously getting good at the game, was there great competition for you? Was always that sort of camaraderie, you're wishing each other well? How did the sort of dynamic work?
No, there was nothing like between us. I mean, we just practiced together. I mean, I say practice, I just pick the balls out. Just trying to learn. He was unbelievable.
Yeah,
And for him, obviously he came through with like Judd and I can't remember like all of his age group, but like
yeah.
the standard back then was unbelievable.
Kyron would have been around, wouldn't he then?
I was sort of in the same group, but I was younger.
Younger.
So I was like Kyron, Jack, Liam. It was
McGill.
just unbelievable. McGill, like in
McGill.
Leicester at Malcolm Thorns Club,
Yeah.
the standard there was just frightening. And in Pontins in Prestatyn, you go there and you just see hundreds of names that you knew were good players.
I mean that club brings up. Tom Ford always speaks so brilliantly about it. Ben Wallace, another one, talking
Yeah,
about the late Malcolm Thorne, how massive he was. That just was a special place, wasn't it, for
it was.
snooker
Yeah,
people? Tell
yeah.
us about it.
Um, I mean, for me, I didn't obviously do great there because I was still only like pretty young. But my brother was always getting like the finals and stuff against Judd, and that's what I remember from it. And like Balcom used to sit at his desk, and there was a little breakboard on the wall behind him, and you would just say like Judd's name, my brother's name. I remember like Giles Bayboot, he was an unbelievable player, and they would
Mm.
just have like like rows of their breaks. You know what I mean? The full sheet was just like two or three people. So it was just impressive. A lot of players there were very good.
Did you think Judd would go on to reach the heights in the game? Even then, maybe not world champion, but he'd have a sort of you suggested and thought between yourself that guy's going to have a good pro career.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, yeah, it's you couldn't really deny that because like I knew how good my brother was, and he was beating him. So it's like you just add the two together, and you sort of know what's happening.
So what was it that led your brother away from the game? Because he did play pro for a bit, didn't he? But now he doesn't play at all, I guess.
No, well, he was pro when there was only six tournaments, I think, maybe eight.
Mm.
And he missed out by one match. He lost his last match as a pro, and that made him fall off. And then, like back then, it was so hard to get back on as well. There wasn't like many options. Um, I think he had a season on the PTCs. It might have been when I turned pro. He played as an amateur in the PTCs, just coming around. And just slowly just sort of lost interest in it, and then he moved away to Chester. Um, and he's played in Q school twice, but after like a week's practice with me, so it's not enough. But even in practice after one day, he's knocking in tons, and it just brings back memories. So I'm sure if he had the time to put in, he could um, make a comeback, but it's just having the time and stuff to do it.
What does he do now?
He's got a job over there as the manager at Aldi, so he's doing all right. He's moved a few times over there, but I think he's interested as well in coming to help me. So that would be a great situation if I can make it happen. It's all on my shoulders.
Yeah, that's a bit of pressure. Is there sort of position in the rankings or something you've got in mind where that would work, or you just play it by ear?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's just the financial side. Once I'm in a position to do it, then I'll do it like straight away. But you don't really know. It could be you win a tournament. It could be consistency that gets you there. So just have to wait and see. Hopefully this season and make something
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. And you guys obviously played each other in that under 21s. Was that to get on
Oof.
tour just before you got on tour? I mean, that must have been a
Yeah,
crazy,
that was
crazy
horrible. Yeah, it
experience.
was horrendous. Because we went there and he was just clear favorite in my eyes. I was telling everyone he's won it. There's no question about it.
That's a clever trick.
Yeah.
No, honestly, he's just head and shoulders above everybody there, in my opinion. And let's say we played in the semis, and I think it was best 13, if I remember right. And it was 6-all. And I think he's in the balls in the decider, and his shirts touch the red, and the balls are plumb. And the referee's called foul, and obviously he's left me plumb in the balls, and there's nothing I can do about that. I didn't really want to win, to be honest. But it just happened. Uh,
I should explain. So that's in the 2010, sorry, World Under 21s. Where was that?
I was in Letterkenny. It was a
Kenny, wow.
great place. Yeah,
And then you went on to win a decider in the final as well.
was that a decider as well? Was it?
That's what I've got written here, 9-8.
Was it 9-8? Yeah, I remember being behind. I was quite far behind at one stage, and I had a nice comeback. So yeah, it was a a long time ago. Yeah, but I'll never forget it.
Well, you sort of had forgotten it, to be fair.
Oh, Phil Hayes on the ball today, isn't he?
So then, was that to get you? That gave you your first season on tour then from winning that?
Yeah, that was still when it was 1 year as well. And I lost it might have been to stay on, or I had to win one more game in the World Championships that season. But I lost, it was either 10-8 or 10-9 to Justin Astley. And it was just a dreadful standard for 18, 19 frames. I don't think there was like 150 plus. It was just
Oh.
a long, horrible game. And unfortunately, I came on the wrong side of it.
I mean, that 1 year system was brutal because if you look at it
Yeah.
now, how many people would stay on if they just had their 1 year points now? It's hardly anyone.
No, it's almost impossible. I think I was too young at the time, and that's why I didn't really want to win in Letterkenny in that World in 21s because my brother had already been pro, So he was like ready, like he was ready to be on the tour, and I was still learning. Like I could pot the balls, but I wasn't really a full package just yet back then.
So could you enjoy that year, or was it pretty brutal?
It was just brutal, right? Because there wasn't as many tournaments. The PTCs were there, but like they were tough because like, I think the draws. How did the draws work again? They might have had a decent first round, but after that, it was just savage. Um, Obviously all best of sevens as well. So not the lottery, but it's like when every single one's like that, you're gonna do well to always come out on top. Especially at that age, that was the biggest thing. I just wasn't ready for that sort of season.
Well, I had looked through your results in that 11-12 season, and yeah, I mean, you had some, as you can imagine, you had some losses, but you beat
Yeah.
Barry Hawkins, Michael White, David Grace, and Barry Pinches, among others. So you had some wins. You had some
Oh,
good
I could
wins.
play the game.
Yeah, but you had, but but even now, a lot of those first-time pros, I say how tough it is, but they're recording hardly any wins actually. But you had, but of course, then you had that time off the tour after that. What
Oh
what did
yeah.
you do outside sort of snooker in those times?
During that time, because that was 2 or 3 years, I think. I had a few jobs, which weren't very enjoyable, but that was about it really. Just trying to, because you sort of convince yourself you're done with snooker, but then something in the back of your mind goes, "Well, you're not, are you?
Well, but it
You
must
need to start again."
it must be unfinished business. It must be that phrase. If you've been
Yeah.
on the world snooker tour and then you're not, you can't, and you're not on it for very long. You must think, well, this I've got to give it another go. I've got to keep going. And I guess those other jobs you say they weren't enjoyable. I guess they may have been a spur to get back on and earn your living in the snooker way.
They were at the time. That's what I thought when I was doing one or two of them. I think like I should just be playing snooker. Yeah, when you're in certain situations, that you take it for granted. Uh, well, I was just about to say something. It's gone.
Well, don't worry. I mean,
It'll come back to us.
I mean, a lot of players sort of do have work, obviously, outside the game. You have to during those times off,
Yeah.
but some people, they'll say that they actually got quite a lot out of it. It's not always bad. They learn quite a lot about themselves, and sometimes they
Hmm.
can put those experiences to use later on.
I think the biggest thing I probably got is what you said before is where you have this like unfinished business
Yeah.
thought, and I think that's came from sort of not really committing to the game like ever, like in the past. I've always sort of dipped in and out of giving it 100% and giving it 10 and giving it 50, then sort of all over the place. So I think that's where that thought comes from. I think I've never really like went for it, you know what I mean? But like this time, that's what I've done so far and I'm planning to keep it up.
Well, that's great, and I think we'll return to that subject in a moment's time, Phil. But let's just first of all just give a podcast name check, shall we, and say you are listening here to Talking Snooker with Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf, and our brilliant special guest, Sam Craigie. Well, Sam, you kind of hinted towards there about maybe, I'm going to say an attitude thing. That might be too strong, but you maybe didn't always give it your all. I mean, there's this sort of thing around, oh, you like to enjoy yourself. Many young people did like to enjoy
Yeah.
themselves, me and Phil included. So what is that? Does that just mean pubs, clubs, and you going out? Give us a better picture if you can.
The easiest way to do it is from the World Under 21s when I won that. Um, I was just not with it every night.
Yeah.
Just sort out every night. I don't know how I won it. It doesn't make any sense to us how I won that week. It just sort of was meant to be. Because I didn't want to win. I wasn't trying to win, and I won. It just doesn't add up to us. So I think from that, like everyone found out about all that, and that's just stuck for years and years and years. And it's done my head in, to be honest. Like sometimes, I have still had spells where I've went a bit crazy, but there's other people do that as well. But it just seems to stick out a bit more when I do it. It
Why is
just
it stuck with you? Was it because it was really excessive with you? Why is it stuck?
I really don't know. Because I see other players drink, but
Mm.
I don't like go around telling people. That's what I think. When somebody sees me with a pint in my hand, I hear about it like somebody's told them the next day. And I think, why?
Yeah.
It doesn't really make much sense, but obviously everyone's different.
I mean, you've been quite vociferous. I mean, you said it there, but you've been critical, haven't you, of some of the players, pundits sometimes
Yeah.
about criticizing your past behaviour. You're annoyed about it, aren't you? Actually, you think that's out of order, and they should stop doing that.
I was at one stage, because it was just relentless. Like every match I played on a TV table, there would there would be comments or even online or actually in the comments box, like about stuff in the past. And
Mm.
I just think like, can you not like move on? Because I'm trying to. Like, people just keep like bringing it up. Like when it started, we're talking 15 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, and I think it's almost I wouldn't say like a research and stuff, but I guess it's if a pundit doesn't know loads about you and that's the only thing they've got, I guess it's the thing
Yeah.
they just churn out. But as you say, it's a long time ago, and who hasn't had a few pints when they were 18, celebrating a winning or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that? You know,
yeah.
it's not the crime of the century, is it?
No, no, exactly. I mean, like everyone likes to drink, but not everyone. But like, I like a drink, and I'll still have a drink sometimes, but just nowhere near probably what I used to. But like I say, it's just stuck. That's the stories that people have heard, and maybe what some people might have seen at times. But it's just sort of stuck with that. Where these days, I'm a lot more like measured when it comes to things like that.
Yeah. And because wasn't there something about people putting two and two together because you missed a couple of games or something, but it wasn't,
Oh yeah,
and people just sort of assumed it was
yeah,
down to partying, but it
oh
wasn't.
yeah.
Is that right?
Hmm. I think it was in Manchester for it was the English a good few years ago now, and I just slept in, and I started hearing stories the same day. I just thought it's incredible. Why are people doing it? Like, because it's players in the players' lounge. So I'd love to know. I'd love to get the list of players that were saying things because I would just love to ask them why. It's very strange.
Yeah. It's sort of I don't know if this is the word now, Chinese whispers. It just goes around, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah. 'Cause I heard one person say that actually seen me out that night before, and I can promise everybody I was lying in bed. So like I can't work that out.
very strange. And I mean, I don't want to hammer on these negative things at all,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
move on. But
yeah,
there was that odd situation where Mark Selby had spoken about something on TV, and then
yeah.
I think you were quite disappointed that he decided to sort of mention that in such a public space. What's your relationship like with Mark?
That bit is normally absolutely fine. Obviously, I wasn't happy about that. Sort of forgot about it now. I'm over it. But again, it was the same thing as before. It was years ago. Um, it was just obviously he was involved in it, so it's a bit more personal that situation. But like I say,
He was your sponsor, wasn't he, for a while?
well, I wasn't really aware he was involved in the sponsorship with the other guy who was called Mukesh. I wasn't really aware Selby was there. I was there playing Mark while I was there practicing, um, but I wasn't aware he was actually involved in the financial side.
Cool. Well, as I say, I don't want to hammer on negative things, but it's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I mean, going through, you had that great run in China. What year was that? 2019. That was your first sort of deep run, especially in a big event. Did you feel that coming?
Um, I think at the time I tinkered with something in my Q action, and it just felt good at the time. And when you get that, you play well because you're confident in what you're doing. And I played really well. I think I played. I think it was Carter, Wembo, and there was one more. Who's the other one? But I played really well while I was over there, and just ran out of steam in the. I think it was against Robertson. I lost to.
Yeah.
I played really well in the first few matches.
Ryan Day you beat as well.
Ryan Day, yeah, that's the one.
And that's the bit that China Open, obviously it's not on the tour anymore, but I mean, that was the fourth major for a bit before we
Yeah,
changed what the fourth major was.
it was a really big comp. Obviously, the prize money, the points. It was just every time you go to China, you feel like you're in a big tournament. Obviously, it is all about the money and the points because they're the same thing now. So
Yeah.
every match is huge when you're over there.
And then a couple of years after that, or 18 months or so, Crucible debut. How did you find that?
I was sort of during COVID, wasn't it? What I can remember, there was people watching, but there wasn't like the full crowd. I think I got off to a good start as well. I went 2-0 up, and I thought I've arrived. I thought I've arrived. Um, I felt pretty good because I had a really good the qualifiers. So I beat Hossein and Xing Tong, and two like
Right.
crazy matches, like loads, especially against Xing Tong in the final qualifying match. I mean, that was absolutely crazy standard. I'd love to know that like the amount of breaks that were in that match, but
Oh, I had a look. There's loads. You made an 80 odd to win it. Hell of a break that must have been from you.
that was, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I put a really good red as well, like halfway through it, to like keep it going to win the match. So yeah, I was happy with that one. Um, but against Mark, like I say, I felt good. Obviously, it was different pressure being out there the first time. And I was sort of, I wasn't happy, but I was settling for. I was 5-4 down at the interval. And I thought I'll settle for that. Like first time against Mark Williams, who's like, in my opinion, he's just absolutely incredible. I've played him a few times. And then he just took us to school on the night time. I didn't get a shot. I thought it's so impressive how he can just like flip the switch and just make you sit out. That's like you try and learn that from them because it's just incredible.
Yeah, I'm always interested about generally what people feel about the greats and when they play them. I noticed you played John Higgins
Mm.
in a match at that sort of bizarre Titanic exhibition. So not a very good place for a Titanic exhibition, but I'm not sure it worked for snooker. There was more noises off than you see in 20 years at the London Palladium at that event, wasn't it? It's like being an aircraft runner. What was that like, runway?
But I don't think it affected John. If you look at the scores in that game, he didn't miss a ball. I think he had 2 tons and a max against us. Absolutely incredible. Like the standard of like you say, the Roddy Higgins and Williams, it's just frightening. And the fact like they're still like pushing on at 50, it's hard to believe, but it gives me hope because it reminds you that you've still got time. Like things have changed in snooker where when you were younger, you think, oh, I've got to like I'm like 30, maybe mid 30s. And like they to show it is like possible to go well beyond that.
Who's your hero then? If it growing up and maybe now, who's the one or two you look and think that's a special player. That's the one that sort of almost means more to me than anyone else type thing.
Um, Obviously there's Ronnie, because he's just obviously it's just alien. I mean, the things he can produce on the table is just frightening as well. But I love watching Higgins. But when I was growing up, it was me brother, because I was learning from him in the back garden when we had the table. So it was him. But I love watching Higgins. Anytime he's playing, I'll turn it on to watch because I always feel like you can pick something out of it, when you're watching him. Just the way he hits the ball and it's just incredible.
A couple of great lines there. I love Ronnie being called an alien in the nicest possible way, of course. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Are you a bit disappointed? Sorry to bring it back to your brother. Are you not disappointed in him? That wouldn't be the right way to say it. But are you disappointed that more people didn't get to see how good he was? Because you talk about it a lot, and you're obviously a bit in awe about it.
Yeah, I think because I've practiced with a few like top players, and the only one that's done anything like what my brother used to do is Judd. I've practiced with Judd once, and it was like, again, it frightening what he was doing. It was, but the only
Mm.
person who's sort of done anything like that was my brother. And I just think it's crazy. It's a shame, and I'm sure he'd maybe love a comeback if he, like you say, but it's just he hasn't got the time, so it's sort of out of the question.
Mm. So, was that Crucible experience disappointing because of COVID? And does that give you the inclination you think, I want to go there again properly with a sort of full house type thing?
I'm sure I'd enjoy that. It's just it was so small. It was like surprisingly small around the table,
Uh,
and the seats and stuff. It kind of like took us by surprise. So I didn't like fully settle. But I'm sure if it was a lot like fuller and louder, it would be a completely different experience.
so, even though you watched it all your life on telly, nothing could prepare you for being right next to Mark
No,
Williams, eh?
no, no chance. No, it's just walking around the table as well. It's like the camera, like when you're walking around the back end, it's like you feel like you're going to hit it, and it's just obviously some players are taller and bigger than others, so it might affect other players differently.
All right, back to Phil Hagen in a moment, but quick couple of ones from me. I mean, you talk about these tournament runs. Phil introduced it there with China. They carried on. UK in 22. I noticed you beat Zhao Xintong and Ryan Day at the Barbican, and you got yourself into the quarter. Gave Mark Allen a really good game. Mark went on to win the tournament. And then the German Masters. This is the one I referenced at the top. You beat Liam Pullen, Heige Kwang, Zusa, and Ali Carter. You beat Ali 5-1 actually in the last 8 in Berlin. So you're into the last 4. You're playing Judd. I mean, I've just seen the Tempodrome this year for the first time. That place is something else. That must have been the best atmosphere you ever played in.
Yeah, without doubt. Obviously, I enjoyed the quarters more, but um, I mean, like it was just it took us by surprise how like loud and stuff it was. I did get warned by like my coach Chris Henry. He says you're gonna like you will feel something when you walk out there, and I do try my best not to show anything and try and be as calm as possible. But it did take us a good frame or two to settle down out there. I think my first few shots in that match, I can't remember exactly what the shot was, but I think I was missing it altogether or something. Like, and somebody in the crowd shouted like in like like a German accent, "Come on, Sam!" And it just made us laugh. I was trying to get a drink of water, and I thought I was so embarrassed at that very moment. I was very embarrassed about what was going on. So, because I played so well that week, probably the best I've ever played, like over a period of matches. Again, I just ran out just at the crucial stage. So just try to learn from it and go back next time.
Is it a unique experience there? Because you're sort of miles away from the crowd,
Mm.
aren't you, in that middle table?
Yeah, because you play every other match round the side, so you've always got like sort of more normality because there's people sort of on top of you. Um, and it's like for the semis, it was the walkout as well, down the stairs and stuff. I've only done that maybe once at York when I got the quarters. I think I did. Yeah, but it's just there was such a long walk as well, and like obviously the official is telling you to stand on the X and do this and that. And I'm thinking I haven't done all this before, so you have to take all this in as you're walking down to go and break off, and it's like so your mind's not fully on the job in hand.
That is tough as well, because Judd's done that stuff millions of times. So that
Yeah,
is a bit of an advantage when you're playing.
yeah. I heard like Rory McIlroy, like he says when he played in front of his home crowd. I know I'm not from Germany, but he says the crowd was just so big on the first tee, they just done him in because he didn't expect it, he didn't know what to do, and like that's sort of how I felt because the crowd there, it sort of does feel like a home crowd because they're so like electric and you can't prepare for it, especially for a first time. I think I heard Murphy say as well, it's probably the worst place to get to your first semi-final. So
Mm,
I've done it all in
mm.
one.
Now, we've mentioned a couple of your brilliant wins over Zhao, so you've beaten him in the Worlds and the UK. W- what, when you played in those 2 games, did you see a sort of future world champion? Did you expect what we've seen from him since?
You can't expect somebody to win the world championships, but I mean, he's always been special ever since, well, a few years ago. I mean, just when I played him, but before that, everyone knew how good he was. So I think even in that final qualifier match, I think I was 2 or 3 nil down in like 20 minutes. And I'm thinking this is going to be a quick, a quick exit for me. And luckily, I was just playing really well because if I wasn't, there was no way I was going to live with them. Like you have to sort of like put it to him. Otherwise, well, you've seen it, at the World Championships, he just pummels you, and there's nothing
Mm.
he can do about it. So it's very impressive, like how easy he makes it look, the way he hits the white, like the cue ball control, it's everything really. He's got it all. At such a young age as well, it's incredible.
Is there a way to deal with him, seeing as you have beaten him twice? Because I've actually heard
I'm
from
not,
a
I'm not
couple
going
of
to tell
players.
people
Yeah, it's worth a lot of money.
that.
I've heard from a couple of players, and maybe this has developed recently, that his safety is actually better than you'd think as well, because you'd assume that's the area you could get him, but he's actually quite good at that as well.
Um, I mean, he's probably improved since I played him. So it was a few years, and from what I've heard, he hasn't stopped playing on his time
Yeah.
off. So he would have improved since I played him on that department as well. Um, but all I remember is him just potting everything, which is how you win games, really. That's the secret to it.
What did you make of the whole match fixing scandal as a pro that was around at the time? We obviously talk of it in the media as such a massive blow for snooker. Is that how other players felt?
Um, But yeah, I do usually keep myself to myself, so I don't get too mixed up in like what everyone else is talking about. Because I've never been on social media as well for a long time, so I wasn't really involved in what was going on and stuff. And now I'm working with a company who's sort of helping us do that. So just to sort of get back up to speed of what's happening and like put myself back out there, so to let people know what I'm doing also. Um, but obviously Xing Tong, there was him and Bing Tao. They were the two main ones really, because I think Bing Tao won the Masters, did he?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, he
So
did.
like you know the special, so I'm sure he's due back. Is it next year? Is he due back?
I think Tao's got a bit left.
Has he got a bit longer? Is he?
Um, yeah, I think he got 5 years. Yeah, which actually probably will come around pretty
Yeah.
quick, won't it?
So it's another one to sort of kind of look forward to see how he comes back. Just hopefully not as good as Sing Tong.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the social media presence stuff because it is a big sort of 180 from you, as you say you weren't on it before.
Mm.
Is that just something? Is that an idea you had, or was that something you someone came to you with?
A bit of both, to be honest. It's mostly to just get back up to speed. That was the first point, to because I totally blanked it out for so long. I didn't have a clue what was going on, like how people were doing the rankings and stuff. I didn't have a clue. So it's nice to just look through and obviously the World Snooker page. You see some posts that like are more up to date, and obviously you get the older videos, which sometimes they're good to watch. So, and obviously, it's hopefully try and get some sponsorship along the line. That's what a big thing as well. Because hopefully that'll help in some way.
Of course. Uh, just to go back a little bit, did you ever raise the issue with other players when they talk about you? I mean, you talk about people in the players' room. Would you be the kind of, or would you not be that confrontational? You wouldn't do that. I mean, did you ever, for example, ask Mark Selby about it in person?
No, he came up to me. I think it was a week or so after it, and so I forgot what he said to us. Um, there's like something like he didn't like mean any harm by it. Um, so. Just have
Right.
to trust what he's saying. You know, what I mean, I just don't get involved. You know, what I mean, I've got enough going on in my own mind. With like, it's too much because there's loads of players, and if you listen to all of them, you're not going to have any room for yourself.
Of course. So there was an element of patching up there. That's great to hear. Well, I mean, I don't know what else feels good. I mean, I want to sort of think about the future now. We talked quite a lot about the past. I mean, you talk about those players, I mean, they're greats of all times, of course, but a lot of players now go deep into their 40s. You've got a hell of a long snooker life ahead of you now. If you can get it right, keep going in the right direction. What are your big ambitions?
Um, like straight away, I just want to get off. Like the first one is just to get off to a good start, like for the comeback, because that's the main thing. Because I can't really have too many ambitions just yet until I sort of confirm to myself it's still there. You know, like they get to the later stages again. But obviously, like the top 16 is the first sort of goal. That's where I want to be. That's what I was sort of climbing towards previously. So it's kind of need to start all over again. So that's the first one, and then I want to win a tournament as quickly as possible. I always try to do it every season, and I've kind of got closer and closer the last couple of years. So. I don't feel like I'm too far away from actually being where I want to be.
What could there be that you could think I could improve on? Part of it, I guess, you talk about what an experience it was at the Temperdrome. Well, just being there, being there, being there. Players often talk about that make the breakthrough. They need sort of 3 or 4 semis, or
Yeah.
4 or 5 quarters. Is a big part of it that just doing it?
It's hard to say because I've only been in one semi, so I don't know. Maybe after I've been in
Oh,
a couple, I could tell you. But hopefully not, because I'm hoping to do it on my next one. You know, win the next one,
yeah.
get to a final, and hopefully win that. Because it's not like too hard. You know what I mean? I think the biggest thing for me is just the self pressure I put on myself for performance. It's not about the match or what's happening against who I'm playing. It's more how I'm playing. That's the biggest pressure I've got.
Never mind your A game. How's your B game? You got to ask players. What's the B
Yeah.
game like?
Um,
Not everyone can have a B game like Selby. In fact, no one can have a B game like
no,
Selby.
no.
So leave that out of it. But how is it? How's your B game?
It's improving because it's something I've knew for well, since you're young, really, you kind of know you need to find something else because you learn that you can't always play well, although everybody wants to. There's something I've learned a lot, and I do work on the safety side of the game a lot when I'm practicing. And like hopefully it shows, you know what I mean? That's all you can wish for. I put the hours in. I work on everything there is to work on now. So it's just hoping it actually comes out on the when it matters.
I wonder, you talk about your brother and you maybe hope him to come on tour. Have you spoken to Judd and Kyron about it, or is it just you seeing with your own eyes and being around and you can witness how big it is for them?
I've spoken to Kyron briefly, sort of trying to find out how he sort of does it and how it works and stuff. But obviously it is private, so you can't want to, you don't want to push too hard on trying to get that out of somebody. Um, but I think it's helped them both. Like there's no denying it.
Mm,
And it's like the UK, the one you mentioned earlier, when I lost the mark in the quarters.
yeah,
A week before that, I was working with my brother and like I was absolutely flying through the qualifiers, like the most breaks I probably ever made.
right.
And so I know it helps us already. Like I don't need to like try it out. Like I already know it works. So like I would love it to happen like full time.
Oh, that's really interesting. And maybe for other UKs or other worlds, you haven't had that extensive time with him, eh?
That's it. I've done it for 3 or 4 times on different tournaments. I can't remember which ones, but the UK was the biggest standout one because of how I played all throughout it. And it just know it helps. If you believe something's helping you, it helps you. Um, so yeah, like I say, that's the end goal.
Okay, maybe one more for me. You talk about keeping yourself to yourself a fair bit, but who are your mates on tour? Who do you hang around with most and enjoy maybe their company?
It was always Stuart Carrington. He was always my best mate on tour. That's any time we'd like be in China, we'd always travel together. Any tournament would be together, you know what I mean? Obviously, we've traveled back and forth to each other practicing. But unfortunately, he's like fell off the tour. But it just shows you because on the Aaron's episode, he was on about because he was asked him who's the most surprising player you've played,
Oh yeah,
and he said Stewart, and I
yeah.
knew exactly what he meant because I like practiced with Stewart countless times, and he's absolutely just lethal at times, and like he's fell off tour. So it just shows you like how hard it is.
How,
It's
how
so
can
tough.
some guys not quite translate it? I suppose that's $1 million question. Because
Yeah.
I can see it, and I remember Aaron saying that. Now you guys just are just so sort of gobsmacked by it. So much of
Mm.
it must be a mental side. We know how important what's in the head is in a game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have transferred to the tournament, but it's just doing it consistently. I think that's the biggest thing, consistency. Everyone has at one time or another brought it out at a tournament. But it's just doing it like the top players do. It's like every week they're doing it. And that's the secret to success, isn't it? But it's so hard to find out how to do that. I don't think you can be taught it. You know, I think you just have to. But in my opinion, at the minute, what I've told myself, it's just working harder. So that's what I'm doing, and hopefully that's the secret ingredient.
Mhm. And I mean, obviously, you say you're not too far away from a tournament win. I guess this Championship League
Oh yeah,
is a chance now because I think there's two players in the top 16 who are going to be in the top 32. So it's about as open a field as there's going to be all season.
yeah, absolutely. I was speaking to my dad and Chris, my coach, while I was watching the final game in my group. Obviously sweating, thinking like I really want to get through because like if you get through, you can literally like draw 2 games in your next group and be in the final, like the final group, and
Yeah.
with a chance at the champion of champions. It's like the easiest chance you're ever gonna like have to get in that tournament, and that it's such a big tournament. So that was what I was thinking, which again in my mind, it was great because normally I don't think that. I just think,
Yeah.
oh, let's try and get through and we'll see what happens, and sort of a bit like a bit too laid back about it. So like straight away that champion of champions was on my mind. So that's the first goal of the season.
Good. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge thing about thinking positively and not, and well, definitely not thinking negatively, but just as you say before, just sort of thinking somewhere in the middle of the two. But if you're really
Yeah.
looking at the positives, that is plus a good sign. And when are you playing next? Because it's quite hard to find out these things about the Championship League.
I've heard Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I asked, I think it was, well, the night I qualified,
It
just to
it is Tuesday. I looked at the site just before I
Oh,
came on
is
air.
it on now?
Yeah,
Is it? All right.
you've got your Tuesday. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Actually, don't
No.
take my word for it. I'm far too unreliable. Do get another witness, but I think it's Tuesday.
So I'm looking forward to that. Probably travel down Monday afternoon and just chill out and then get stuck in again.
Good stuff. I think that might be time up for us, unless you've got anything else, Nick. I think
No,
we'll
that's
say
it.
thank you very
We'll
much,
let
Sam,
Sam
for
go.
giving
He's
us
gonna.
time.
We'll let him go and practice.
Yeah, straight there
Exactly.
now. Straight there. Oh, that was something. I got a new cue yesterday.
Oh,
Starting with a new one. You're going to play
Yeah,
with that on Tuesday?
I'm almost certain. Yeah, because since I've came
wow.
back, something's felt a little bit off, and I couldn't quite figure it out. So some obviously I've had such a long time off. Something might have just changed. So I went to the shop yesterday for 7 hours, and I was trying lots of cues out, just trying to find the one that felt right, and I walked out with a new one. So
Wow.
see how that goes. I get a new cue every season. So
Yeah. Are you a changer? Are you one of these players that changes quite often?
I never used to be until obviously Stu Green's shop, Green Beers. It's like incredible. You know, when you go in there, it's hard to walk out without one. 'Cause the first time I changed, I went for a new tip, and I just picked up a few cues while I was waiting, and I just picked one up, and I thought that is like gold dust. That when I picked it up, I thought I'm having that, and then the same thing happened the last time I went. I just picked one up, and I thought I need to have that, and then
Wow.
sort of the same thing yesterday. I did go for a new tip with in the back of my mind, I'm going to try some cues out, but I still walked out with a new cue again. So let's see how that goes.
What a
Wow.
salesman this guy is in this shop. You
Bloody hell.
can do it every time.
I, I, I'll tell you what. It sounds like we're a bit in your good books, but I might be in your bad books now. What happened in that match against Ricky Walden? Then I just remembered it.
Oh, uh, oh no, it
I
was
did.
the day just. I can't remember exactly because it was so long ago now. But I remember. I think I was at the venue from about 11:12 for my first scheduled game at 1.
Mm,
I might be a little bit off, but it's gonna be close enough. And I don't think I got on till about 3, 4. So I've been at the venue for like 4 or 5 hours already. Then I've played in the first best seven, which took. I actually apologized to the referee. That's how bad and slow it was. It took about 4 hours. So we're talking like it was at least 7 o'clock, I think, when I finished the first one. Then I had to go back on, but I had to wait for another game to finish before I actually could go back on. So then I got the 10 o'clock or something, or maybe later, starting the game against Ricky. And like I've been at the venue for 12 hours. And because my hotel's so far away, I don't drive. So it's just hassle leaving the venue and coming back all the time. Um, so I was 3-1 down, and I was sat in my chair, and I just didn't feel well. Not like just mentally. I was just looking at the table, thinking, I kind of look at this table for another second. So I stood up and walked. I can't explain what happened because it's never happened before, but I just couldn't. I just had to get out. Um, yeah, I got a fine for it, so punishment. Um, I took me medicine.
yeah, of course. I'm thinking of doing that the next Tony Mio, Phil. First of all, it'll drum up some publicity. When you're strolling around the table with that world champion gate of yours, putting everything in sight, I'm just going to walk away. Say that's enough from
Only.
me. But
I mean, obviously, that there's like people going through harder things in life, but it's just when it gets you mentally, like snooker, it really gets you. It doesn't get you in any other way, but when it gets inside your mind, some days it's just horrendous. And unless you play, it's hard to really describe it.
no, I can imagine.
Those double days, I always think look like hard work. Just mentally, it's the up and down. You getting yourself up for a match,
Yeah,
then you're trying to go and have dinner or something quickly, and then and then all hanging around.
but it's not usually like too difficult. It was just that day. There was just so much
Mm,
waiting. And the games were 4-3s. Like my first one was 4-3, so it just took hours. And like I couldn't have something proper to eat the entire day, apart from the little hot dog stand outside or something. Um, and I just felt terrible sat in my chair, so I had to get out.
sure.
Well, that's sorry to bring it up, but it's all part
Oh
of your.
yeah, thanks. You really
It's all
brightened me day up.
It's all part of it's all part of your snooker journey. Don't forget, we're still journalists. We got to ask these
Yeah.
questions. We nearly forgot. We nearly forgot, but we
Yeah,
got
we
it
are.
in there.
Yeah.
But I had it down in my notes. I thought, oh yeah, there's that thing. Of course, yeah, you just to explain a bit more. You were losing to Ricky Walden, weren't you? It was at the
Yeah.
Scottish, and you
Yeah.
you did a Hendry from all those years ago. But listen, Sam, I'm now going to finish on a positive note and say
Right.
you're in good form. Best of luck on Tuesday. We don't have favourites on this podcast, but we'll watch your form with interest, and we just hope, don't we, Phil, that you have a brilliant season. We genuinely do, and you've had that really bad time recently, and I think most of the people in snooker, many of us, many people wishing you well through our social media forums. So people willing you on, and just all the best. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the kind words there. It means a lot. I mean, I haven't always had too many supporters over the years, so every
Yeah.
extra one helps. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I think people do enjoy a story like this. No one would wish upon you that what you've been through, but to come back, everyone loves a comeback, don't they? So,
Yeah,
and it's very encouraging, and the amount of work you're putting in sounds very impressive. So, as Nick said, yeah, best of luck on Tuesday and the season to come.
yeah. Thank you very much, and thanks again for having us. It's been brilliant.
Oh,
Our pleasure.
thank you, sir, and do please come and join us again one day. You'd always be most welcome. And have a great afternoon. Enjoy the practice, and best of
I
luck
will do.
in the remaining stages of the Championship League. Well, that was Sam Craigie there, and absolutely terrific, wasn't he? He gives us a nice thumbs up. All the best to you there, Sam. And we've got to say nice things at the moment, but he's listening. But no, of course, I'm joking. We're going to say nice things. He was smashing good value, wasn't he? Didn't shy, bye bye, sir. Didn't
Yeah,
shy away from anything, did he, Phil? That's what we want. None of that sort of like, oh, I'm not going to, that's a bit difficult. Walking away from match. I'll tell you one thing as well. I don't like vanilla people in, not I don't like, that's not right. Vanilla people aren't my cup of tea. I like the rascals. I like the rascals, and I don't want to say Sam necessarily falls in the rascal category, but you know what I mean. He's had a rounded life, an interesting life, and that wins my vote.
Yeah, definitely. We're always talking about the characters in the game that we need. And yeah, I mean, it's happened to a few players, isn't it? They're just like, they've just had enough. They've got to get out of there. And uh, we can't pretend to know what it's like in their shoes, but we've seen other players do it. And if they feel that's what they got to do at the time, fair enough. I'm sure their opponents don't mind really. They're getting a win, and it's costing them a fine as well. So it's all up to them. But yeah, I'd forgotten that story as well. Lovely niche reference from you there from the Scottish Open a few years ago. But I remember, yeah, it was dramatic at the time because you don't see it too often. But fair play to Sam for explaining what happened there.
Indeed, and you know what? We don't say it often enough. We are just watchers. We're watchers that love the game. And sometimes when you think, oh, they're pulling rank a bit as players, and you think, oh, that's a bit annoying because, of course, they do know more. But sometimes it's right. And when Sam says there, you've got to play to know, you have got to play to know. We haven't got a clue about that, have we? We haven't got a clue. As much we play little fun amateur games, we haven't got a clue what that's like to be at a tournament. That experience we think we can understand, but we can't.
No, yeah, and you've got to accept. Obviously, you can sort of ask questions and challenge a bit, but there's things that you can't know of. And this actually is something that I saw because you retweeted it. Scotty Scheffler's amazing interview the other day
Oh
when he was
wow.
talking about how he feels about golf and his motivations of playing and why it's not his top priority and stuff. I thought it was fascinating. And then it was just like really sort of moving in a way. And then I clicked on the replies under the video,
Oh
which is always a
God.
mistake. And it's exactly what you were saying, like all these people just sort of saying, well, you don't feel like that, or you shouldn't feel like that, or whatever. It's like, you haven't got a clue what it's like to be the world number one golfer and all these situations you've been in. But people will tell you they do know and how you should feel. But sometimes you just got to say, fair enough, that's very interesting you feel that way. And you're the only one who can tell me how you do feel.
I didn't see so much of the comments on that, but yeah, that's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, look, who are we to judge how people react to things? But I mean, I like Podrick Harrington. He's a great character in golf and a great champion. But I noticed in the last couple of days he's responded to that, and I don't think he quite got it really. Well, I suppose in his mind he got it in his own way, but he was like, "Well, maybe golf's not doing enough for him." I was like, "No, no, no, that was from the heart stuff, wasn't it? That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that was the to the very heart of life." I thought. I mean, he's gone up in my. I was pretty high in my estimation anyway, Scotty. Actually, for a number of reasons. not least for the great way I thought he responded to that. You know, when he was arrested, do you remember that outside the US
Yeah,
Open?
yeah.
He sort of responded to that. Well, I think he's a great guy, and that was just brilliant. You're pushed for time a bit, are you? How are you at the moment?
Yeah. Pretty short.
Right, let's quickly. Should we rush through everything else? And maybe I'll sort of speak in the sort of speed like they do at the end of those radio adverts. Where they talk about the terms and conditions. You know what I mean? We've had some Championship League action, shall we? Shall I just rattle through some of the winners in that? Have we got enough time
Yeah,
for that?
yeah, yeah.
Let's do that, shall we? Week 2, day 2. Well, it was Jack Lazowski finishing on 7 points ahead of Gong Zheng Si on 5 points. Pang Jung-soo topped the other group with 6 points ahead of Jiang Jun and Oliver Lyons with 4 points. Week 2, day 3 last Wednesday, Dave Gilbert winning all 3 of his matches with 9 points for Dave ahead of Dwayne Jones with 6. Lei Pei Fan won the other group with 7 points ahead of Long Jihan with 4. Last Thursday, Ben Mertens topped his group with 7 points ahead of Alfie Davis with 5. Jack Jones only third in that group. And the other group, today's guest, Sam Craigie, went through, both Craigie and Davis with 5 points. Sam going through on frame average. Up to last Friday now, Tom Ford and Simon Blackwell both finishing on 5 points. Ford going through on frame difference. And Liu Hongyu with 7 points. Ian Burns with 4. Noppon Sankam only third in that group. We're nearly up to it, Phil. Last Saturday, Artemis Zhizins with 6 points. Ahead of C. Dry-Hee. Oh no, C starting to feel the effects of that Metcalf mockers with a prediction. He got 4 points, C. So Artemis Zhizins going through. As did Robbie Williams that day, 7 points ahead of good group that, ahead of Ben Wollaston with 6, Florian Nisler with 3, Julian Boyko with 1. Week 3 then, Monday, Hayden Pinney, Barry Hawkins and Harris Tahir all on 4 points. Pinney going through with 4, can't believe it. David Lilly and Ashley Hugill both on 5 points in the other group, Lilly through on frame average. Tuesday, Liu Wenwei with 7 points ahead of Jackson Page with 4, and Tep Chio Nu with 7 points. Winning that group ahead of Martin O'Donnell with 6. And yesterday, Wednesday of week 3, Chris Wakelin with 7 points ahead of Julian Leclerc with 5. And a good day at the office for Joe O'Connor. Only dropped 1 frame, won all 3 matches, and he's through with 9 points ahead of Zach Shirty with 6. First stage ending today, Phil. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And I know it's friend of the podcast, Aaron Hill, among those in action today, Thursday. Lots of players with chances. You're right to pinpoint that. Sam Craigie back on Tuesday. And one other news line, by the way, Mark Allen has pulled out of the Shanghai Masters for personal reasons. Ali Carter has taken his place in that draw. Maybe a word from the Championship League on you. Hard to sum all that up, I know, but and then we'll sort of shoot off.
Yeah, well, I was there yesterday. Actually, I popped down to the Mattioli, which is the venue I go to more than most on the snooker calendar. Speaking to a few of those guys, which was good. It's always interesting to see that place, that tournament sort of up close and in the players' room. Sort of a lot of hanging around, but chatting to people, it's good.
Give us the gossip. Give us the bloody gossip.
Well, I got a nice chat because part of it was going to speak to our friend and colleague Dave Hendon about his book coming up, which sounds great. So, but yeah, I did a piece with Chris Wakelin that was out yesterday, and just did a piece with Gordon Brown that I just published before we came on air because he was there commentating. So have a look at those two while you can. But yeah, some interesting results there. Getting through with 4 points is has to be considered a bit fortunate. Hayden Pinney, but not that fortunate because he went into that last game needing to beat Barry Hawkins 3-0 to get through. That's what he did. So very impressive. But yeah, I think the standout things really are the young players getting through for me. You know, Zizins, Mertens, players like that. Liu Wenwei's, he's a new 21-year-old from China on tour. He had a tough group with Jordan Brown, Jackson Page in, but coming out on top. Very impressive. And yeah, I think I'm right in saying the only 2 top 16 players who are going to be in the last 32 are Wakelin and Zhang Anda. So it really is an amazing chance for everyone left. And we could well see a brand new ranking event winner in the coming days.
Yeah, indeed. Good way of saying it. Well, we're going to shoot off. Maybe any other business there. Well, Iga Swiatek and Jannik Sinner won the singles titles at Wimbledon, Phil. The Open Championship at Paul Rush is underway. We'll see those crowds for Rory McIlroy. They've been big enough in practice. And England have a big game coming up against Sweden at Euro 2025 in Switzerland. And Phil, next week in Leicester, we will have a conclusion to the Championship League, and we'll know who is the first ranking event winner of the season. The aforementioned Dave Hendon there, we are hoping to join forces with Dave soon, aren't we? We haven't quite sorted out a date yet. We will do, all being well, and we'll have what we're calling a I'm not sure we can really call it seaside anymore. That's preposterous. We have nothing to do with the seaside at all, really. But we'll certainly be calling it a summertime special, which people will remember all those years ago on the television. We'll do it in the spirit of that. I think it'll be a good fun episode. So we look forward to that. All the best. I salute you and say, wasn't that great with Sam Craigie? Thanks for setting it up. He was terrific value.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, and as always, we could have done twice as long with him, but no, he was great value. So thanks to Sam, and thanks to everyone for listening. Always a pleasure to speak to you, and we'll speak to you soon.
Keep your thoughts coming, talkingsnooker@yahoo.com, or tweet us at Talking Snooker. With apologies for calling Sam Craigie a rascal, let's now say thanks for your company and from your old friends, Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf. Cheerio.